What follows is a letter sent by longtime as highly incriminating evidence of ongoing geoengineering programs run under the rubric of the U.S. Air Force. If ever there was a damning piece of hard evidence, this is it. As you will hear, the official document is titled Chemtrails Manual Chemistry 131, Department of Chemistry, U.S. Air Force Academy. Dear Commissioners and City Staff, the Chemtrails conspiracy theory began as a Department of Defense publication. Simple research will reveal the term chemtrails was published by the Department of Defense in 1990 as title to a chemistry manual for the USAF Air Force Academy. For nearly 30 years the mainstream media has associated the term chemtrails with conspiracy theory without informing their readers it was the American taxpayer who funded the printing of the media-maligned term. Chemtrails. I was able to reconstruct a 1990 chemtrails manual using the microfilm resources of the library system. More than chemistry. Beginning at page 64, the manual departs from pure science to discuss the political science of strategic oil and gas reserves, including alternative energy development and timelines. For years many folks have asked, why do the chemtrail jet pilots participate in an atmosphere polluting program that's so harmful to both people and planet? Answer: because they have been thoroughly mind-controlled into believing their chemtrail missions are undertaken to protect the American people. This is how deep state has always gotten away with so many deadly and destructive programs over the past century. They couch them within the fake context of national security. In point of fact, nothing could be further from the truth. Chemtrail aerosols contain aluminum oxide, barium salts, strontium and other poisonous chemical compounds that have no business being in our atmosphere. The name of this illicit chemical geoengineering program is Operation Indigo Skyfold, the most secret covert black operation in world history for those uninitiated in the ways of atmospheric engineering. Chemtrails are but one geoengineering technique that is being systematically used by the U.S. military. The following link provides an excellent overview of the geoengineering/chemtrail phenomenon, as well as an exceptional photo doc. After all, only seeing is believing for most people. No matter what the stated reasons are given to those who fly the chemtrail jets, they are always told by their superiors that this ongoing and illegal atmosphere-altering program is being conducted in the interest of national security. You'll notice that national security appears crooked because the whole intention behind geoengineering is as dangerously misguided as it is deceptively false. The indiscriminate, wide-area and systematic spraying of toxic aerosols throughout the skies of the world couldn't possibly have anything to do with national security. Those that buy into such a ridiculous notion have obviously been either brainwashed or bribed into believing such an absurd and nonsensical agenda. That's precisely why this unprecedented expose is so important. Never before has anyone directly involved with the piloting of chemtrail airliners ever gone public. Not only does Blue J1, as he is known, go public, he completely blows the lid off of Operation Indigo Skyfold. This single act of identifying the name of what is perhaps the most destructive government program in recorded history is extremely critical. Why? Because it now gives the worldwide anti-geoengineering advocacy groups a target to hit within their own nations and governments. How, after all, could government officials and political leaders at every level, federal, state, county and city, be so clueless about a massive aerosol spraying program that is going on in the skies right above them? Can any responsible representative continue to plead such ignorance or indifference and get away with it? That's why this critical development is so huge. Really huge. It is what we have all been waiting for, yet so few in the movement really get it. Which is why this particular message has to be taken to the wider public. Because at the end of the day every human being on every continent will really abhor two things about the now ubiquitous chemtrails. Chemtrails routinely transform warm sunny days into cool cloudy ones. No one likes to see their clear sunny days stolen after a couple of hours of chemtrailing. Day after day of overcast skies have profoundly changed many a locale which have traditionally experienced clear skies. Is there anyone who prefers damp cloudy days to dry sunny ones? Certainly the people of Florida and California want their fun in the sun. So does the rest of the USA. Chemtrails contain a mix of toxic chemicals and poisonous compounds such as barium salts, aluminum oxide, strontium, mercury among many others, which eventually end up falling to Earth. The chemtrail mix of toxins inevitably leaves its residues on farm fields and forests, lakes and ponds, and lawns and gardens. How does one possibly stop the noxious chemicals from entering one's home and automobiles, office building and shopping malls? Whoever wants a toxic chemtrail brew dropped on them every other day? Geoengineering has proven unequivocally to be extremely detrimental to both human health and the greater planetary environment. Information was received by the cousin of an actual pilot who flies chemtrail jets and is working on the inside. The operation is known to pilots and aviation crew alike as Indigo Skyfold. Pilots are told to fly specific routes, while satellites control aerosol dispersal patterns. The pilots make course corrections from time to time, and perform landings and takeoffs. Pilot navigation and maintenance crews are rotated constantly, and only spend about 18 months at one given base, to keep pilots and their families from making too many friends, and ending up with loose lips. They also rotate between day and night flights, one base for daytime flights, and one for night. Each base covers a 250-mile zone, and each fleet, squadron, of planes covers 3 states, or an even larger swath of ocean. They're told to simply do their job and shut the *CKUP! Their superiors tell them it's a matter of national security, and, quote, without these flights our enemy's newest technological weapons of war could easily penetrate America's airspace, at will. We are dedicated and committed to keeping our allies safe from the same skyward threats, so we extend the arm of protection to those countries that support our efforts. Hostile nations are also building atmospheric shields, while at the same time trying to explore weaknesses in our ever-developing air and space-based technologies. Sounds more like a PR statement to me. I think this pilot either believes what he is told, or he is simply trying to sugarcoat their genocide project. December 8, 2014. My firewall detected multiple intrusion attempts when I googled the Indigo code as well. Zero info to be found on the internet for this operation. That is unique. I received a rather lengthy reply from the chemtrail pilot. Here is text from their email. December 8, 2014. First of all, I would like to say that I do not agree with my mission assignments. But what soldier ever truly does? Several of us have considered bucking the ranks, and going AWOL from time to time. We are kept in the dark when it comes to getting honest answers about what we are really spraying. Should they discover that we or our families are actively inquiring about the so-called chemtrails term, then automatic and swift disciplinary action would be taken. HRP and radar are 2 other non-allowed research subjects. Unless our children are learning about these in base schools, we cannot educate ourselves or our children through any public education system. I would not intentionally spray my children or family with toxic aerosols. But as you must know, perhaps 80% of the pilots do not have any family or children. Indigo pilots are chosen from top ranks within the Air Force, Navy, and Coast Guard. Most of the pilots are hardened to humanity and could care less killing off unwanted or leeching aspects of America and the world. I swear to you, the majority of the pilots are like machines. I call them tanker terminators. I should not be telling you this, but nearly 1/3 of all flights are being orchestrated from small unnamed islands, where newly constructed bases are being built at a rate of 8 per year. On these extremely remote islands there are HRP arrays of every possible design, with many arrays surrounding these islands within the depths of the ocean itself. The Navy has developed sophisticated underwater construction technology that allows fully autonomous robot submersibles to travel great distances. and even manufacture parts for these massive underwater arrays as they progress across the open seafloor. Every time that you see or hear about military exercises at sea, they're basically there to give support and resupply their army of underwater robotic minions. There is possibly one aquatic robot per plane, and will soon be double that. You will never be able to Google Earth or search any of this, other than an occasional error in blurring some island bases, or smudged images of underwater arrays. It is impossible to locate all these advanced technological devices. They even paint fake clouds over some of our island installations to keep prying eyes away. I have been shown some of these images by civilian friends. That is the reason I know this. I completely understand your concern for human safety, and here is the kicker. We are shown videos in our training of catastrophic destruction to our homeland by very sophisticated weapons, then told that these will be the consequences if we don't fly. Our efforts in building a defensive atmospheric weapon shield are the only missions of its kind in the world. We are paid more than any other pilot for our service, other than Air Force One pilots who make as much or more and are kept in a dark, secret world for their own protection. They tell us that secrecy is our protection, and not to listen to any public rhetoric. We all know about Cyber Program Flashpoint, or FP03 as it is known within the veteran community. This program is a self-destruct sequence that can be remotely activated from any ground, water surface, underwater base, as well as any other air mobile unit. The signal is encrypted through 3 satellites and cannot be jammed or blocked. At any given moment you could have only 15 seconds to make your peace with your God. They tell us that FP exists to keep planes from accidentally going down in heavily populated areas. They can remotely detonate our planes over safe zones, but in the back of your minds, our minds, we're pretty sure this is a fail-safe program to keep pilots from turning over assets to any public, private, or civilian authorities. Have you ever seen any member of the crew survive the few crashes that have occurred? Every plane that has gone down was completely destroyed for good reason. I am sure. We risk our lives in more ways than one, every single time we fly, especially during night flights. They are ordering us to fly at lower and lower altitudes. We feel like a massive dark force empire of crop dusters, and know that one night Bubba, or Billy Joel, will fire their long rifles at us when we spray their moonshine-making operation, or pass over an illegal Mary Jane crop. I know for a fact that some planes have been shot at, and subsequently brought down by mostly Russian, Chinese, and Korean weaponry, but the media will never cover these events as they are not allowed to report on our flights either. That must be true, for I have yet to see a detailed or lengthy report of our missions on any public venue other than conspiracy shows on any government websites. I risk everything for disclosing so much information, and you will find very few like me. Even my own flight crew would have me arrested and court-martialed if they knew of this dialogue. That is why I cannot email you directly, but from what your cousin tells me, you are also risking everything just to get this information out to your colleagues. I salute you, sir, for standing up to the establishment and Big Brother. I would love to go home tomorrow and not rack up one more single minute of flight time, except for a sweet little Piper Cub, or rat-tailed barn racer. I miss those beautiful blue skies from my youth, and I am ashamed for hazing over that dream. More importantly, maybe my fellow pilots will read or hear about this, and decide to come forward as well. I only know a small fraction of the larger picture, as they compartmentalize everything. Should I become aware of any new significant developments, I will email your cousin. The man I have contact with says he senses a wavering within the ranks, and that a kind of mutiny is beginning to boil to the surface of this whole geoengineering global whitewashing. If you catch my drift, my cousin still has friends in high places too, so he is helping to protect the pilot. This came December 11th. Last word from the pilot, and I quote, "All pilots on leave are required to report to their kill by Deck 15th for special training operations. to qualify for Indigo Phase 2 flights, expected to be initiated by January 21. Those were his words, not the actual Air Force message. He wanted me to stress that he believes that the focus of their flights will be moved to areas east of California and Texas, in order to advance the drought further into the heartland. Plus, he feels that a very new and extremely toxic chemtrail mix is going to be sprayed, using new technology that makes these special chemtrails completely invisible. Atmosphere shield of protection. He doesn't believe that either. So that is the end of the message from this chemtrail pilot. From my own experience, I've had a lot of contact with this guy for 6 months via the internet, and basically everything he told me has turned out to be true. So I have no reason to doubt any of this, and hope you forward it. This also points out how difficult it is to fight this program because people inside the program are not subject to public opinion nor exposed to public information sources. Therefore, we need to brainstorm and come up with a way to shut down this program, as it is actually heating the planet, and killing everything with elevated UV rays, and toxic metals. Have you noticed that 2018 has seen more spraying than everywhere? It is true. The chemtrailing is now totally out of control. It has never been so important to post information like this on health blogs, environmental websites, social networks, alternative news sites, videos, and everywhere chemtrails are mentioned in order to broaden as many people's awareness as possible. The ongoing global environmental disaster and health catastrophe caused by chemtrails both present a great opportunity for people of all races and religions, nationalities and societies to unite and cooperate around the protection of humanity and the preservation of the biosphere. Planet Earth has been besieged by many and diverse scientific experiments over the past 100 years. The quantum leap in applied science and technology has precipitated a literal explosion of top-secret and highly classified operations conducted in the atmosphere, throughout the planetary surface, as well as deep within the Earth's crust. However, none comes close to the degree of round-the-clock damage inflicted on the biosphere as the DARPA-sponsored program of geoengineering. Just one component of this secret geoengineering program is known as chemtrails. For those who have never heard of chemtrails, they are not to be confused with contrails, which are the normal exhaust vapors ejected from jet engines in flight. Surely we have made the point by now, and that point is well taken. If not, then one is necessarily compelled to read further. What exactly is a chemtrail? What are the toxic chemicals they are spraying on us? The term chemtrail is a combination of the words chemical and trail, just as contrail is a contraction of condensation trail. The term does not refer to other forms of aerial spraying such as agricultural spraying, crop dusting, cloud seeding, skywriting, or aerial firefighting. The term specifically refers to aerial trails caused by the systematic high-altitude release of chemical substances not found in ordinary contrails, resulting in the appearance of characteristic sky tracks. The chemtrail trails left by aircraft are chemical or biological agents deliberately sprayed at high altitudes for purposes undisclosed to the general public and directed by various government officials. The existence of chemtrails phenomena is streams that persist for hours and that, with their crisscross, grid-like or parallel stripe patterns, eventually blend to form large clouds. Proponents view the presence of visible color spectra in the streams, unusual concentrations of sky tracks in a single area, or lingering tracks left by unmarked or military airplanes flying at atypical altitudes or locations as markers of chemtrails. Wikipedia. You know when Wikipedia provides such an accurate description, superficial though it may be, that there's much more to this covert op than even the best researchers have been able to determine. For a more in-depth discussion we will defer to the experts who have scientifically analyzed chemtrails to the greatest extent possible. Their explanation is as good as it gets. Geoengineering Watch. As for the chemical components which have been found in their wake, these known toxins can no longer be denied. Over the past decade, independent testing of chemtrails around the country has shown a dangerous, extremely poisonous brew that includes barium, nanoaluminum-coated fiberglass known as chaff, radioactive thorium, cadmium, chromium, nickel, desiccated blood, mold spores, yellow fungal mycotoxins, ethylene dibromide, and polymer fibers. Barium can be compared to the toxicity of arsenic. Barium is known to adversely affect the heart. Aluminum has a history of damaging brain function. Independent researchers and labs continue to show off the scale levels of these poisons. A few anonymous officials have acknowledged this ongoing aerosol spraying. Open square bracket 1. We in no way mean to minimize the incessant injury to human health across the planet which occurs through the breathing and ingestion of the chemicals which are contained in chemtrails. What good can possibly come from barium salts or aluminum oxide or vaporized mercury or strontium-90 or radioactive thorium being sprayed throughout the skies worldwide? Clearly, the extremely deleterious effects to human health, as well as to all living organisms, is self-evident. However, the purpose of this essay is not to further unveil their agenda with regard to human engineering of the physical organism. Rather, the scope of this article is to lay bare the most profound and fundamental alterations which geoengineering is producing to the planet and its atmosphere. When these are both permanently altered in ways that are irreversible, the human race is then confronted with an extinction-level event. Ongoing, slow motion, insidious, under the radar, pernicious to living organisms, but nevertheless ill. Geoengineering is a term which includes highly advanced forms of applied science and technologies, various newfangled chemical agents and synthetic materials, scientific bending of physical reality, as well as an assortment of reverse-engineered modalities which are combined to produce specific outcomes. Because of the complexity of this essentially dangerous and reckless experiment, there are an infinite number of permutations which can be executed at any given time or place. Therefore, the number of opportunities for things to go wrong can be intensified exponentially. Of course, the butterfly effect takes on new and dramatic meaning in the context of geoengineering because nothing ever happens in a vacuum on this blue orb of ours. In fact, the more that the scientific community attempts to engineer weather, e.g. by manipulating hurricanes and tornadoes or creating rain clouds, the more the boomerang effect takes hold. A butterfly flaps its wings somewhere and the wind changes, and a warm front hits a cold front off the coast of Western Africa, and before you know it you've got a hurricane closing in. By the time anyone figured out the storm was coming, it was too late to do anything but batten down the hatches and exercise damage control. Karen Murray moaning, dark fever. Where chemtrails dissipate, chemtrails proliferate. For those who have never seen the actual aerosol sprays being ejected from the planes which are specially equipped, here are just a few snapshots. We only wish to make the point that this global chemtrail operation is certainly a little more consequential than a butterfly beating its wings in Brazil or Botswana.